circle of rat back and I'm going and leaving tracks in morning. And I don't give a crap whether you streaming, you torrent this. You can try to contest, but you'll be needing an army. Beat them in Normandy, current rappers eat to the warnings.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So let's talk about Raw from July the 5th, 2021. It was a bad show. It continues to slide into obscurity. Raw is just, it is 15 pounds of shit in a 10-pound bag. That's what Raw is. Every single week. I think they gave up on Raw right after WrestleMania. They just said, fuck it. Look, I know WWE in general. They locked themselves into this Thunderdome deal. They was already paying for it, so they figured they had to do it. But everybody else has moved on. The NBA has crowds. Everybody, I know WWE is only going to be in here for another week or so. But my point is, they don't care. Ever since WrestleMania, they stopped. Ever since they went back into the Thunderdome, but they didn't really care much about Raw before going into WrestleMania. But coming out of it, they have not given a fuck about Raw. They have not given a shit about whatever they put on this screen. And this show continues to prove it. Every single week, Raw progressively gets worse. And yes, certain people actually try to fix it. They try to do the right thing. They try to give good performances. But this show sucks. It's just rematch city. People wrestling the same people over and over again. It is dumb. Miz TV segment. First segment on the show. Entirely too long. Miz is not in the Money in the Bank. Why the fuck is he even involved in this? Why does every Miz TV segment devolve into some daytime talk show like fucking Ricky Lake or some stupid shit like this? Why? It's dumb. Why is Ricochet pop locking? Why is he pop locking and spelling his name like Fabulous? Fabolous. Like, what the fuck? Why are we doing that? Why is he doing this? This is not what charisma is. It's not what character is. Why is Drew McIntyre telling stories? If he's going to be a history teacher, he needs to be wearing a vest. A sweater vest at that. He needs glasses. If he's going to be talking about his sword is made from the Loch Ness Monster's tooth. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? How does that... I don't get that. That's stupid. What is up with that? And, of course, you know, Riddle is being silly. John Morrison is being silly. There's no heat at all here. None. No heat at all. No intensity at all. The only person who had barely any heat was AJ Styles. And he was upset that, you know, Drew McIntyre had, you know, got to be in the Money in the Bank match without beating him. All right. Makes sense. Shouldn't he be arguing that with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce instead of arguing it to the fucking Miz and on Miz TV? Why is that? Why is something so simple so hard to do? He should be out there saying, "Look, Riddle shouldn't have even been in that match. Why was he even in there? And I did not get beat." So, you know, that should have been the thing. Instead, we get Riddle versus AJ Styles. Now, the match was fine. You know, Riddle did a good job of selling his leg. Match itself was pretty good. Finish, though, distraction roll-up. Everybody's favorite. The distraction roll-up. The Viking Raiders, who are apparently now, you know, soft-footed ninja warriors who can just appear out of nowhere, you know, distracted AJ Styles, and he got rolled up and lost. Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. What else spin out of this? You got Jinder Mahal, who shows up on a motorcycle, and he's cutting his promo about how him and Drew McIntyre used to be good buddies. They used to be good friends. They were in 3MB together. And now it's taken Drew McIntyre 3 days to respond to a text message. He's too busy. You know, this is almost the exact same story they did with Sheamus, where, you know, Drew McIntyre is a bad friend, and he's letting success go to his head, and now he's kind of forgotten all the people who helped him get where he is. That's a fine story, you know. We can do that. You can link stories like that together. But that should be the story that they're telling. that should be Drew consistently forgets the people who made him who he is. You know, they started this storyline with Heath Slater when he left. They kind of did it with Dolph a little bit. They did it with Sheamus. Now they're kind of doing it with Jinder Mahal. Okay. If that's going to be a long-running character flaw for Drew, I'm okay with that. You know? But they just decided to throw these guys together in a throwaway match on Raw that means nothing. People have been waiting for this feud, or waiting for these guys to at least cut into each other for over a year. And what did we get? A throwaway match on Raw that meant fuck all nothing. That ended in disqualification because Shanky and the other guy interfered. And then Jinder Mahal steals Drew McIntyre's Loch Ness Monster Dragon Sword Tooth. Whatever the fuck. It's like, bro, Drew McIntyre is one of the most unlikable people in the entire business right now. And it's not his fault. He has nothing to say. And they're making him tell stupid fucking stories. If he don't have anything to say, then guess what? He shouldn't be talking. There's nothing wrong with not talking. If you don't have anything to say. But he should have something to say. He should have something to say when these people are calling him a bad friend and saying that he, you know, he's forgetting where he's come from and all that kind of stuff. But maybe that's the point of all this. Maybe he's telling all these fucking bullshit stories to say, hey, this is where I come from. This is what made me who I am and all that shit. As these people think that, you know, their additions into his life is what made him who he is. He's like, no, I come from Scotland and I'm the grandson of William Wallace or whatever the fuck. Who knows? But he clearly doesn't have anything to say. It's the same thing with The Miz. The Miz has literally no purpose on the show. He's not wrestling. He can't wrestle. So he's not in the Money in the Bank match. Why is he cutting promos? Why is he doing all the talking? Why is he there? He literally has nothing to say. Just let the people who got something to say something. I know that you need somebody to lead the promo. Somebody who's good at promos that can lead the promo. But if that's going to be the case, you just stick somebody in the middle of the fucking ring. You put Corey Graves in the ring or something, and he just goes around, you know, talking to, you know, different people. Drew, what do you think about the Money in the Bank or Now That You're In or whatever? You know, this constant Miz TV every fucking week. And I know, like, you know, maybe not last week they didn't have a Miz TV segment, but the Miz TV segments every week being 10 fucking minutes is god fucking awful. It's horrible. This shit, you can tell they don't care about Raw when they do that. Whenever I hear Miz TV segments, I feel like a battered fucking wife. I just get fucking sick to my stomach every time. And I don't have no problem with The Miz. But fuck, they put him in these bad situations where he has no storyline, no feud, and has no reason to be talking. And yet he constantly does all the fucking talking. And he has, you know, 100 verbal gimmicks that he has to get over. And they do silly shit like drip sticks. But before let's go straight into the John Morrison Ricochet match, which was, again, between the ropes was fine. They did another silly spot where, you know, I think it was a crossbody that ended into like kind of like a Spanish fly on the floor. And as Ricochet tried to get back in the ring, The Miz kind of pulled them back down and he got counted out. This is going to set up a Falls Count Anywhere match between John Morrison and Ricochet next week on Raw. Okay, cool. You know, they did a good job of building the match as far as we're going to build to a match that matters, being Falls Count Anywhere. Unfortunately, this is going to be the third week in a row that they're going to have a match. 3 weeks in a row. That is unforgivable. You do not need to have the same match 3 weeks in a row. And they have to wrestle again that Sunday at Money in the Bank. It's absolute overkill. It is absolute. Even if you enjoyed them, it's the same thing with, you know, what people say about, you know, the old pizza adage. You know, you can love pizza, but do you really want it every day? You know, do I want to watch Raw every week and see John Morrison versus Ricochet? No. He didn't give a fuck if it was the great. I don't want to see Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels every day. I don't want to watch it 3 weeks in a row. It's nonsense. That's not how feuds work. Feuds do not need to be you and this guy are handcuffed to each other for 3 fucking weeks, 4 fucking weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months. You can do other things and then come back to it. You can literally wrestle other people. It's okay. Like I said, they treat these shits like monogamous relationships. They treat them like marriages. You can't go outside the marriage. All of a sudden, you can't have a match with anyone else except the person that you're feuding with. You gotta have matches with them, or they gotta interfere in your matches or something. It's like, no, you don't need that. You don't need that at all. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We're gonna be here all day. Cause I ain't done. Jinder Mahal on the mic on the chopper was kind of cool though. So then we get the 8-woman tag. And it was an absolute butt fucking mess. I mean, the refereeing was bad because they was just all over the place, jumping all around. There was magic and shit. There was straight up bad wrestling. It was, you know, comedy stuff with Eva Marie being scared by Alexa Bliss. Which, you know, whatever. But then of course, there was magic. Then there was Alexa Bliss being launched into the barricade and not coming back. And then Nikki Cross, the one you're building as the big bad superhero, she's the one who gets pinned. She's get pinned. Why? And she gets pinned by Nia Jax. Why? What? How does that? Where is Nia Jax going? What are we pushing her for? Why is she the one winning? This doesn't make sense. Nikki Cross is the one going to be in the Money in the Bank match. So why is Nia Jax winning? Where is this going? What is the point here? Now, I'm inclined to believe that Nikki Cross lost because likely she's going to probably ended up winning the Money in the Bank match because they love jobbing you out, and then you get the big push, which is quite frankly the stupidest shit in the world. But for some reason, they're just in love with it. They think that's how you build people, by beating them to pace, and then all of a sudden they're in the top spot out of nowhere, you know, with no momentum whatsoever. It's just stupid. It's dumb. Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, and I actually wasn't interested in this because I do like the story. You know, Mustafa Ali has been trying to give advice to Mansoor, telling him who he should be looking out for. He should be looking out for himself, should be, you know, not trusting everybody. And the pre-match promo, he says, you know, hey, I don't want you to end up like me. He wants better for Mansoor. At the same time, though, you know, Mansoor is a nice guy. You know, Mustafa Ali gets tangled up in the ropes. You know, Mansoor helps him instead of taking advantage of him. And it costs him because, you know, Mustafa Ali then rolled him up and pinned him. So he taught him a very valuable lesson about, you know, trusting people. And I'm interested in that. We could be telling that story, and they don't need a lot of time. And that's the thing about this is good, and it doesn't require a lot of time. They get everything here within 10 minutes. Everything. They told the story of, you know, the two of them. They showed their backstage disagreement when they got eliminated, when Mustafa Ali eliminated Mansoor from the Battle Royal. Then they had the match. And then you got to see Mansoor sell his loss, and Mustafa Ali yell at him about, you know, the mental game, keep your mind tight. And the story was simple, and it tied into the promos. And voila, you don't need 45 minutes of gimmick to get that shit over. I get it. You know, now, maybe their personalities aren't quite the same, obviously. But it's a good way to push a middle card feud. You don't give them a hell of a lot of time. You don't bury them. You get in, they get their shit over, they get out. So then we got MVP and Lashley. Lashley is offended that New Day will say that he's soft. MVP is upset that this Irish guy, he keeps showing up in their area. telling him that he needs to make an appointment if he wants to talk to Lashley. Of course, the guy's not going to do that. He works there. Later on, New Day basically says that, oh yeah, Kofi must have really ruffled some feathers. Lashley came back from his vacation early, and MVP actually who said he was injured 2 weeks ago, but now he's back. And New Day wins when Kofi just pins MVP. You know, it continues not necessarily putting Lashley in the best position, but it's building momentum for Kofi, which is good. You know, MVP can do the job. There's no big deal there. He's been in a managerial position. This is his first match back. Oddly enough, I started to believe that this was the match that they've been running. They're gonna be running on house shows when they start going on tour. They're gonna run this match on house shows. I don't see the reason for that. That's stupid. No wonder those house show tickets don't move. Not only are they house shows, and people know that house shows don't matter in the modern world. You know, modern wrestling is a completely different situation than it was 20, 25 years ago. I get it. You know, you want to do dark matches and things like that because there are things you want to try. There are things you want to get over. And you do want to people to get experience traveling and working and stuff like that. But people are up on that nothing happens at house shows. The average Joe is up on that gimmick. You know, he knows that he's going to go to a house show and literally nothing is going to, the title is not going to change hands. Everybody's going to go home happy. Nothing that happens on the show is going to be referenced anywhere else unless it's a big deal. Unless it's a title switch or somebody gets injured. And people are going to be like, what the fuck am I watching non-canon TV shows for? Why do I care? It's like when people talk about these animes, right? Like I was trying to watch Naruto. I still haven't done it. And I saw that people would post like a list of episodes where they say, oh, you can skip all these episodes. None of them matter. They're all non-canon. And I would be like, that's all filler. You know, skip all the filler. And they say about Dragon Ball, skip all the filler. I'm like, no. On Dragon Ball, you have to watch the filler. The filler actually brings out a lot of the stories and a lot of the character developments. They're not referenced anywhere else. But there is something uniquely touching and beautiful. And it's a great storytelling device to see Piccolo and Goku driving. I'm sorry. You may think, well, I could skip this episode. It doesn't mean anything. Like, it's a great buddy episode. It shows you how close Piccolo is with the family. That's why you watch that episode. Sure, you can see that in the regular eps. There's nothing cooler than Piccolo hanging out with Goku on like a random day. And they're out driving and shit. Even though they can fly, you know. It's just cool shit. So yeah, that's basically house shows in the modern world. It's basically filler, and everybody knows it. That's why the house show tickets don't move. It's like, oh yeah, these house show tickets, they're the shits. It's like, yeah, because everybody knows if it's not on Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view, it ain't shit gonna happen. And most people are not interested in wrestling for the sake of. They're involved in stories. They want to know what's going on the stories. If the stories are not going to be furthered, they don't give a shit. That's the problem with Raw now, is the stories are never furthered. What else? Where else did I leave off? All right, so Mason T-Bar, they wrestled Lucha House Party. I don't know what this meant. Because I was just kind of like, Lucha House Party winning. Are they going forward as, you know, a tag team that are going to matter? Is Mason T-Bar going to move forward as a tag team that are going to matter? Do any of these four guys have any chance whatsoever of mattering at any point in the future? And my answer to those questions is hearty no. I don't see how anybody cares about any of these guys. They're barely on TV as it is. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. So I hated this segment when it happened. And then I put some thought into it and I was like, okay, I get it. So Charlotte is faking like she's injured. She's giving this sob story about how Rhea Ripley is trying to injure her, and that's the only way she can beat her is by injuring her. And she's mocking my moves. She's doing what I would do. You know, Charlotte is admitting that she would cut corners and injure people if she had to. So then Rhea Ripley comes out and she's on crutches too, because Charlotte is on crutches as she's telling this sob story. And she's hobbling around on crutches and she's mocking Charlotte. And then, of course, she knows that Charlotte isn't really injured as she knocks away the crutch and Charlotte's standing up fine. And then they get into a sword fight with the crutches. And it's kind of like a fight scene out of, you know, it's like a fight scene out of that movie Role Models. You remember that movie Role Models where you had the guy who played Stifler and the little black kid, and you had the guy who played, I want to say, what is it, McLovin? McLovin, yeah, from Superbad. And he was into role playing and all that kind of stuff, and he was, you know, they had those crazy fight scenes out in the middle of the woods. That's what this reminded me of. They were doing the whole thing with the crutches. Ultimately, though, I did like it once it was over because I saw what they were doing. You know, it took me a while, but it seems like Rhea Ripley is trying to out Charlotte, right? It seems like she's studied Charlotte. So now she's up on Charlotte's tricks, you know, that she's trying to bullshit an injury to get you into a false sense of security so she can jump you from behind. You know, Charlotte would chop block you, so I'm going to do it. Now, of course, this doesn't make Rhea Ripley like a babyface in any way. She's still a heel, which means this is a heel versus heel program, which means dead as far as everybody else is concerned. You know, the crowd's going to have to force somebody babyface because they haven't given you a real reason to like Charlotte or Rhea Ripley. And I don't understand why people will feel like it's okay to have a match where you want to see both people lose and you don't want to see anyone win. Who do I want to see win? That's the thing. We're not even seeing a heel program where one person is out healing the other. We see a heel program where they're both dicks. This is not going to work. This is stupid. You know, it's like this doesn't make any sense. And it takes me back to, you know, My Hero Academia. Like, so I've been reading the manga. Now, I did get a lot of my manga destroyed and when it flooded here in Detroit recently. I didn't lose any of my manga. But I got 28 chapters of My Hero Academia, and 26 of them got wet. So I have been spending all of my time drying them out. But I think it's volume 26 where the villains come across a bigger villain group, right? And so it's it's a heel program in that instance, right? It's the League of Villains versus I think it's the People's Liberation Army or something like that. And it's like a cult. And the People's Liberation Army are trying to destroy the villains for the reason of propaganda. But, you know, ultimately they join forces. Spoiler alert, they join forces at the end. After, you know, people die and get killed and everything. But the point of the story was it was a heel program where you kind of want to see the villains get beat up, you know. But then you realize that the People's Liberation Army is a cult. You know, they fucking suck too. And they've taken over this entire town and turned it into a battlefield. They're worse than the villains. And then you learn the backstories of some of the villains. And you see their sob stories. You get the sympathy from them. That they come from abusive households. That they were, you know, My Hero Academia is all about quirks, people with superpowers. That quite a few of them thought they were freaks because they had, you know, weird types of powers. Like, you know, or you know, they had crazy backstories like, you know, superheroes and their families and stuff like that. Where you kind of got the idea that, okay, this might be a heel program. But these are the better heels because, you know, they kind of pushed. They were bad. They weren't, you know, rotten from the jump. There were things in their lives that pushed them more towards villainy. And sure, you could say the same thing about the People's Liberation Army. Is that, you know, they have ideals and the ideals are what's making them villainous. But then the point of the story is that these guys have taken over a town. So they're like the real assholes, you know. So you still get you can have a villain program, but you have to show somebody is the good guy or the better of the two. And in this situation with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, there is no better of the two. They both suck. And I don't see how I'm supposed to care about Rhea Ripley one way or the other. Why do I want to see her win? What does she show me that makes me want to root for her? Nothing. And she acts just like Charlotte. Like, why does she want to be a Charlotte clone instead of being something unique? I don't know. I spent a lot of time on that. Talking about something else I was very interested in. The sword fighting was fine, though. And then we have some of the biggest waste of time in the history of waste of time. R-Truth and Jackson Ryker versus Elias and Cedric Alexander. So R-Truth is distracted by the 24/7 brigade, and he goes off to chase the 24/7 title, which I believe Angel Garza and Shelton Benjamin were also chasing it. And I just shook my head. Not because, you know, Angel Garza and Shelton Benjamin, they deserve better, whatever that means. But because you have people who could be doing something else on this show, and they're just tied up in this 24/7 thing. They're not even giving a chance to other people. I mean, you're in a position where you're in the fucking fishbowl at this point. You could be doing anything just to stay above water. I mean, you already got your setup for your Money in the Bank as far as the Money in the Bank matches. Is there not going to be an undercard to this show at all? Like, it's just going to be 4 matches on this entire show? You know, it's like it's going to be 2 Money in the Bank matches, Roman and Edge, Bianca and Bayley, and okay, Charlotte and Rhea. That's 5. That's it. That's the entire show. That's the entire card. You know, like the SmackDown with tag team titles. Where the fuck are they? Where the Raw tag team champions? They really just reminded themselves they were the tag team champions this week. And Sheamus has been gone with a busted face for a while. I don't know why they didn't strip him and have a tournament for the U.S. title, which would have been better. You know, that I remember when those rules were invented, you know, so that these titles wouldn't get stagnant. I literally tweeted out that the U.S. title is dead. They didn't even talk about it. There was nobody even out there to talk about being a U.S. champion. You've got Damian Priest standing around doing nothing. Angel Garza doing nothing. Jeff Hardy doing nothing. You got talented guys who are literally doing nothing. But we got all the time in the world for Miz TV, Johnny Drip Drip, and various other butt fucking dumb storylines. This stuff is stupid. And this match ends up with Elias because losing a strap match wasn't enough. There's no such thing as a blow-off match in WWE anymore. You have matches just to have them. So Elias once again walks off because he's scared of Jackson Ryker, and Jackson Ryker just beats Cedric Alexander because Cedric Alexander is just a J-Bro. He doesn't mean anything. The guy who had some momentum, you were trying to do something with him, and now he's just, oh yeah, go do a 2-minute job to Jackson Ryker. Don't try to get yourself over at all. It's disgusting. What's the fuck is the point of them going to the performance center and looking up talent? You don't do shit with the people that you got. You could fire the entire fucking roster as nothing's going to change. It's the writing staff. The idea that nobody gives a shit about anybody on this show except 4 fucking people. And then even of those 4, they only care about Charlotte, really. Lashley is barely on the show. Kofi is barely on the show. Drew McIntyre is standing there talking about Loch Ness monsters and dragons and shit. Like, who the fuck? Nobody is showing that they care about anybody on this show. The only hint of intensity on the show is Lashley. Everybody else is cracking jokes, dancing around, looking stupid all the time, losing in 2 minutes to people that they have no business losing to. Raw is just a mess. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. And I don't know. But we'll see. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be bad next week too. But at least it's going to be taped. So the spoilers are going to be out there. I'm probably going to try to avoid them best I can. But if Raw is not better when the crowds come back, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep sitting down watching this whole shit, man. I might just have to do something else. Raw is just entirely too long. It eats up too much time. It's too repetitive. It's too fucking stupid. You know, this show is draining, and I'm already in a bad mood because it's fucking hot all day. Now I have to sit here and try to enjoy some fucking wrestling, and the show fucking sucks, and it sucks on purpose. That's the worst thing. It'd be one thing if they're actually trying and failing. There's another thing when you can tell they're not even trying. There's no effort put into this show at all. It is, well, just keep doing it. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's no progression. You know, it's like, oh, Ricochet broke the dripstick. No problem. We got more dripsticks. It's like, what? It's dumb, man. It's a stupid show. It's stupid. And that doesn't mean that everybody's not doing something. You know, there are things that are good. What Riddle is doing is good. Lashley and New Day, that's Lashley MVP, Lashley, New Day, that stuff is good. Like I said, Riddle was good. I'm, you know, interested in what they're doing with Nikki Cross, but they jobbed her out for Nia Jax for no reason. You know, Cedric Alexander could be an interesting thing, but they don't care about him. Jackson Ryker could be interesting. They don't put any time into him. He's still stuck with Elias. You know, anything that might be interesting doesn't get enough time. And things that are not interesting get more than enough time. And it's just like, I don't get it. It's dumb. It's really stupid. I'll talk to you guys later.
Skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these